Text, rewind, 7 decades of stories from Leonard Cheshire Disability Heritage Lottery Fund, lottery funded. A logo of white letters on a red background, Leonard Cheshire Disability, all in bold except the dis in disability. Text, living proof, 1966. Text, amateur cineworld, this film gained 3 stars in the 10 best competition, 1962. Words painted on the backrest of a wheelchair read, the Court Film Unit presents. Words painted on the backrest of a standard hospital chair read, living proof. A large mansion and its surrounding hillsides.
This is Lee Court. Have you ever wondered what happens to badly disabled young people if they can't get into a Cheshire home? Either they live at home, which is often lonely and purposeless, and they may feel a burden on their families, or they're in chronic wards, which is nearly always a travesty of life, surrounded by the senile and dying. Lee Court was the first Cheshire home, where in caring for a man dying of cancer, Group Captain Cheshire began what was to grow into the worldwide wider Cheshire mission for the relief of suffering.
A man pushes back curtains from a balcony. Sprawling English countryside surrounds the Court Cheshire Home.
The original house was a decaying Victorian mansion, and the Carnegie Trust gave the money for this building. Snowy was living at home before he came here. His family was out at work all day, and as the flat was upstairs and there was no lift, Snowy used to sit at the window and watch the gasometers go up and down.
A nurse brings Snowy a cup of tea. He looks at his watch. The time is 6:30.
Elsie doesn't always look as worried as this. Being filmed is a nerve-wracking business. She was in a chronic ward for 5 years. Another girl about the same age was in the same ward, and a spastic girl who couldn't talk, so Elsie looked after her. All the other patients were elderly, and her only outlet was to spend the day in the occupational therapy department. Mind you, it was a better hospital than most. She was in a ward for 8, not 38.
A woman, supported by a hoist and with the help of 2 nurses, is maneuvered from her bed into a wheelchair. Another woman brushes her hair by holding the hairbrush with her foot.
Joy's toes have grown strong and flexible, and she can do amazing things with them in spite of her spastic movements. People who've never been able to use their hands learn to use their feet and mouths instead.
A metal rod holds a shaving brush. A man lathers it with a soap stick held in his mouth. He moves his head around the brush to lather his face.
Albert was given the full works at the rehabilitation department at King's College Hospital and was taught how to be independent. With his gadgets and techniques, there are few daily activities he can't manage. He washes and dresses and feeds himself. He does his hair with a comb fixed to an arm on his bedhead. He turns his wireless on and off with a tool held in his mouth. And he earns his own living by painting with a brush held in his mouth.
Albert shaves by moving his head around a fixed razor. A clock on the wall reads 8:35.
Almost time for breakfast. The lift is large and largely automatic, with controls at wheelchair level, so that if you can wheel yourself about, you can get up and down stairs yourself.
Snowy wheels himself out of the lift and makes his way to the breakfast hall.
There are 39 residents, and the noise in the dining room is sometimes past belief. The wall between the dining room and TV room and the glass doors between the dining room and library fold back, making a hall for films, pictures and parties. Perhaps the high spot of the past few years was a review the residents did a couple of years back, which ran for 2¼ hours. It was really good. The outside help we had, the producer, musical director and stage manager, were either experienced amateurs or professionals, gave our homegrown talent polish.
A woman receives physiotherapy on her hand.
Dorothy has been coming and giving treatment for 12 years, and Trotty has been having it for 10. so both of them can remember the early struggles in the old house. They were exciting days. They're cobblers, but something always did turn up in the most miraculous way. Shops open for half an hour twice a day, and Maggie runs it. Harry serves behind the counter. The turnover last year was £1,800, and 173 of that was profit. It sells the small necessities: sweets, cigarettes, stamps, writing paper, shampoos. Since we're 3 miles from Liss and 7 from Petersfield, our nearest town, we need a shop. Besides, the profits go into the welfare fund. The welfare fund pays for renting our fortnightly films, keeping the 2 TVs and the wirelesses in each bedroom going, paying for the petrol for outings in the bus, and all the other activities run by the Residents' Welfare Committee. You can have up to £1 worth of credit on the book.
A woman writes in a ledger.
After the shop closes at 11 o'clock, there's mid-morning coffee in one of the 2 TV rooms. Each channel has its devotees who look on the other lot with faint disdain. Nobody's dull while Derek's around. He's from the outback of Norfolk.
People in wheelchairs and others on crutches play around, poking and chasing each other. A woman deftly uses a loom with her feet. She moves the loom away and a man in a wheelchair gives her a box of matches. With her feet, she lights the match and then his cigarette.
Joy is making a scarf for her Uncle Frank. Most people work in the morning, but whether you work or not is entirely up to you. Joy's accomplishments are many and varied. She lights endless cigarettes, but has been known to break one in half and throw it away when she thought she'd been smoking too much. Once she picked Snow's pocket with her feet while he was absorbed in conversation. And she's the only girl in Hampshire who flirts with her feet. A girl with quick feet and a soft heart. She can't bear to see anyone cry. For a couple of months last summer, we had a young French girl here who dripped slow tears of homesickness the whole of her first day. She fed Joy at supper that night, and after a few minutes, Joy was shedding tears too, of sympathy for Christiane. The room that Joy shares with Elsie is the gathering place for a crowd of pop record enthusiasts. Her record players are in no danger of rusting from disuse. Evelyn's like Albert. She's almost entirely independent without using her hands. But unlike him, she can use her feet as hands. Considering she threads her needle at leg's length, her eyesight must be well adapted too.
Susan very deftly pulls the needle through some fabric, turns it over and cuts the thread with some scissors, all using her feet.
She's so full of vitality you feel worn out just to think of it. She uses some of her energy to type Joy's letters and take her walking for miles in the summer, but there's still enough left to set off a volcano. One of the embarrassing moments she treasures was at a fancy dress party. She and a 6'3" medical student had to demonstrate courting in caveman days. He dragged her out of the dining room door, along the corridor, and then at the TV room door. She showed proud bruises for days after.
Clasping a pencil between her toes, she uses it to punch the keys on a typewriter. She pulls the paper out and reloads with a fresh sheet and starts typing again.
Washing the smalls is Evelyn's household work. All the jobs are voluntarily done. Muriel helps in the kitchen in the morning. Doris delivers the post. Knits takes the papers round and so on.
Another woman loads the washing machine with her feet. She holds a pole in her malformed hands and puts the washing from the tub through the wringer. She then does the ironing using her hands.
Here's snow coming across the bridge to the workshop, which is separate from the house. There was another person who was in a chronic ward from when he was 17 till he came here at the age of 19.
A man works at a wood lathe.
Actually, he doesn't often do wood turning, because his main job is working as treasurer and news editor of the Cheshire magazine. He writes too and paints. A painting master takes a class once a fortnight.
A man uses a small screwdriver and tinkers with a variety of small parts in front of him.
Whenever anybody wants a watch mending or needs first aid for a pair of shoes, they come to Laurie. His official job's workshop manager, and he orders materials, helps people, and supervises generally. And Laurie's cameraman of the film unit, so Paul had to shoot this.
He starts a basket weaving for a woman.
Brian's a member of the film unit as well, a sound technician and cutter. He's printing headings on writing paper here. Brian recently passed his final exams to be a Methodist local preacher. No mean achievement in a house with a quiet corner to study was practically impossible to find. And he's the first of us to go abroad for a summer holiday. He and a girlfriend went to Spain last July.
A man weaves the seat of a stool.
All the usual crafts are done in the workshop, and the welfare fund buys articles as they're made and markets them so that the makers get immediate payment. They earn the selling price less the cost of materials. The goods are sold on order as a rule, and when we exhibit at shows we sell a quantity and take more orders. 4 local housewives help in the workshop, manning it every weekday morning. They have no training as occupational therapists, but this isn't really occupational therapy anyway. These voluntary helpers and the men in more are called slaves, a term of affection. Some come once a week to do the mending, one does the ironing, several come 1 or 2 afternoons a week and help with the baths and feeding at meals, and all the myriad jobs there are in a place like this. There's also an army of slaves who come from a distance and stay. An executive at the UEA who works 1 weekend a month washing up and laying tables.
A man sits at a work table, assembling a model airplane.
University students who work here in their vacations. A research chemist and a BBC producer who come as orderlies from time to time. A bookbinder, schoolgirls and boys, a conservative agent, nurses, teachers. The list is endless. As well as their labour, which is invaluable, they all do normal hours of duty, they bring their personalities and interests to enrich our lives. We court is like a tapestry compared with the homespun of most ordinary life.
Another man weaves a basket.
There's a paid permanent staff as well, of course. A warden, a secretary, and the matron, who has a catering diploma as well as her nursing qualifications. 3 more state-registered nurses, and 4 women and 3 men who work as nursing orderlies look after our personal needs. Kitchen staff, pantry staff, cleaning staff, the maintenance engineer all play their part. And again, not only their labour is important, but in a small isolated society like Lee Court, it would be a tragedy if there were a we and a they. Nearly everybody is called by their Christian names.
3 men fix a wheelchair.
Independence Unlimited is the name of an organisation started by a local factory manager. 5 or 6 men come every Tuesday evening to the workshop and make devices to help us overcome the limits set by our physical inabilities. All the gadgets have to be built to the individual's needs, because no 2 problems are identical.
Albert paints with a brush held in his mouth.
They made Albert's easel, which slides up and down as a slight pull on the cord under the pallet. Albert has achieved great things with his painting. He got a scholarship from the Mouth and Foot Painting Artists Association and for 4 years worked long hours perfecting his technique. Then, the July before last, he was accepted as a member of the association. Last May, he flew to a congress of the association at Zurich and was made one of the 25 full members in the world. This means that the association pays him a good salary and has the first right to any of his pictures. There was an autumn view from Lee Court by Albert in the association's calendar this year.
A young woman assembles electrical components.
We try to have at least one sort of factory artwork at any time, but it's difficult to arrange transport so far out in the country.
She lines up a batch and then screws them in place, one at a time.
Here they're assembling electrical components, trimming toy roofs, and folding calibrated paper into stacks of 1,000. Quite a few people prefer artwork to crafts, but frankly it pays better. A large portion of this film shows people working, for the simple reason that it's an easy activity to show. But it shouldn't be thought that work is the most important part of our lives. Some of us work because we really enjoy it, some because we want the money to do other things, and some because we like the company of those we work with. But as there's no necessity to work, the only rule, and that's an unwritten one, is that nobody should be late for meals. It assumes a different value from the usually accepted one that work is a good thing in itself. When your physical activities are limited, you have the opportunity to explore other sides of your potentialities. Religion is an essential element to many, though not all. About a third of us are Roman Catholic, a third Anglican, and the rest either nonconformist or nothing in particular.
A man polishes a candlestick.
Miss Eleanor Stopford was secretary as leader of the Anglicans, and under her leadership the religious life in the chapel of St. Giles has grown vigorously. Mr. Tyler, the chaplain, comes up from the village to take Holy Communion at an evening service on Wednesdays, and a visiting bishop sometimes takes Holy Communion on Sundays. The bus goes down to the parish church if there's no service here on Sunday mornings. Once a fortnight on Tuesday evenings the service is taken by a Methodist, and Friday evenings there's a rota of Anglican clergy from the surrounding villages. The other evenings one of the congregation says Compline.
A minister reads from the Bible in front of the congregation.
The Roman Catholic congregation, too, has gone from strength to strength in the past few years. Mass is usually said 3 mornings a week, and Rosary is said every evening at 5:45, unless there's a visiting priest to take benediction. The two chapels worship side by side in harmony. They give spiritual comfort and peace to many who have been through torment of mind before they have accepted their disabilities, and in the distress felt as helplessness increases. They help the residents to cope with the frustrations, inevitable in dependence on others, and the staff to cope with the demands made on them, physically and mentally.
A man and a woman sit opposite each other at a desk. The woman is typing.
6 years ago, when there were 5 Cheshire homes, the Cheshire Smile was a duplicated house magazine. The editor died, and Frank Spath took it over. He'd had no experience of editing, but he'd read very widely during the 22 years he'd spent in bed at home. The standard in circulation steadily improved, till it became recognized as the official publication of the Cheshire organisation. Now the circulation is about 7,000, and it's one of the best magazines connected with the disabled in the country. The magazine contains news of all the homes in Britain and abroad. There are now 30 British homes and 16 in 7 other countries. To read the back numbers of the magazine is to trace the history of a social movement. When the magazines arrived from the printers, the gang gets together and packs them for postage.
A team of people sit in a line, each assembling or packing a portion of the magazine.
This is Peter, the chairman of the welfare committee.
Peter sits with a man and a woman in front of a number of other residents. Peter holds a book.
Politics have a serious place in our lives. 3 members of the welfare committee, chairman, treasurer and 3rd member, are elected annually. The chairman is the spokesman for the residents to the administration and management committee. This and the duties and responsibilities of the job make it an exhausting honour. The members also sit with 3 other elected residents on the residents' admissions committee and with 3 outside friends on the Leigh Court Association committee. The Leigh Court Association publishes a monthly newsletter and runs a car club and is starting support groups in the county.
A man on a podium addresses a crowd in front of the Union Jack.
Every July there's a gigantic fete on the grass in front of the house, which draws crowds from miles around. It raises between £1,700 and £1,800. Last year the fete paid for redecorating the house inside and out, and the year before it paid for a new bus.
Men and women mingling at the fete on a sunny day. At the back of a bus a young man pushes a woman in a wheelchair up a ramp. He assists several other residents into the bus.
The bus can carry 13 or 14 people and several folded wheelchairs. Bus outings are generally arranged by the chairman of the welfare committee, but if 6 or more residents want to go, and Trevor, the maintenance engineer, isn't busy doing something else, we can have it for private trips. If we expect to get back late, matron will always arrange for putting to bed, and this makes long expeditions possible. Incidentally, we can go to bed at any time if we can put ourselves to bed, or the night nurse can manage us alone. People who need 2 to put them to bed go before 11 o'clock. Until then, another member of the staff is on late.
A woman helps him fold the ramp up and into the bus before they close the doors and drive away.
The matron drives the bus. Most weeks, the bus load goes out once or twice. Naturally, a lot of the outings are local, to the pictures or plays in the nearest towns, shopping in Petersfield on a Friday morning, or to tea with friends. But we go much further afield too. Last year, the more ambitious trips included Farnborough Air Show, a concert at the Festival Hall, the Royal Countess Agricultural Show, and motor racing at Goodwood.
A plane doing maneuvers in an air show. A woman gets in a tiny car and drives away. A man drives a motor trike that has been modified with levers and extensions to compensate for his small stature. Another man helps his paralyzed wife into a convertible. He waves and smiles at the camera as he drives off.
Derek and Maggie have been going steady for 5 years. To get married, they'll have to leave the life they've built here. The ideal arrangement would be to have bungalows in the grounds, so that when people married, they could still take part in the community and use its special facilities. In the spring, 2 bungalows are to be started, but for couples with one partner disabled and the other able to earn a living. There's a crying need for these houses too, because so many marriages break up under the strain if husband or wife becomes disabled. Edith and Les are a couple who didn't break up. Edith had to leave home eventually, and Les comes down from Hertfordshire every weekend and stays. She was a model before their marriage, and they have 2 sons. It sounds absurd that someone utterly paralyzed and unable to speak, like Edith, can still make a contribution by her mere presence, yet it is so. Last year, Peter organized a Holidays for the Disabled week at a holiday camp at Weymouth. 20 residents went, and as many helpers, and about twice the number from outside. It was such a success that a committee had taken over the venture and hoped to make it an annual event. They could have filled the 200 beds in the camp 3 times over for the week this year.
People at a pool. Carers assist people with disabilities down the pool ladder and help keep them afloat while they swim.
It's difficult to explain what gives Leigh Court its strangely fascinating quality. what brings people back again and again. Exuberant, thoughtful, warm-hearted, indifferent, friendly, unpredictable, ordered, chaotic, tolerant, adventurous, funny, sad, alive. Even when you're most distracted by the pressure of being constantly at close quarters with such a diverse collection of human beings, you know at the back of your mind you wouldn't want to be anywhere else. Many people are convinced that the life of the disabled must be dull and empty, a burden to themselves and society. Lead Court is living proof that this need not be so.
People at a dance hall, cutting cake, dancing and cavorting. A group hold hands in a circle and sing. Words painted on the backs of 2 hospital chairs read, "This film was made by the disabled residents at Le Court, but it would not have been possible without the help of many friends." Text, Leonard Cheshire Disability. Rewind. Supported by the National Lottery through the Heritage Lottery Fund. Heritage Lottery Fund.